Breaking tonight in a major world exclusive interview with GB News star Nigel Farage, Donald Trump has tackled every big issue in international politics.
Okay.
And speaking from Scotland, the former US president who is running for the Republican nomination has slammed the troubled and scandal-plagued ex-First Minister of Scotland, scheming Sturgeon, for damaging her nation. Trump weighed in on the shocking case of double rapist Isla Bryson, who exposed the failing SNP's sick gender reform bill after he was sent to a women's prison. Watch.
Well, I think a lot of countries have had enough of it, what's going on. And I know that case, and I thought it was terrible. And I guess it helped ruin her career.
Okay.
I think she had other reasons also. But I just felt she didn't love Scotland. Well, they just said, I just walked by and there was a big crowd for a wedding, a beautiful wedding, incredible people. And they were not happy with the people that were running Scotland, let's put it that way. They said, run for First Minister, sir, run for First Minister.
That doesn't make sense.
One of about 20 massive scoops from that fascinating sit-down. So to react now, I'm delighted to be joined by the man behind the extraordinary exclusive interview, Nigel Farage, live from Scotland. And also senior advisor to Trump's presidential campaign, Jason Miller. So look, Nigel, we've got lots to unpick here, but can we start with Scotland? Because obviously this is a huge scandal, what's going on in Scotland at the moment. Most of the mainstream media in the UK seem to want to ignore what's going on. So it's very significant, isn't it, to see Trump talking in this way about the failed regime of Nicola Sturgeon?
Well, look, I mean, 3 weeks ago we had Sleepy Joe spending 4 days in Ireland because his great-great-grandparents left there in 1840. But hey, I'm Irish, despite the fact Biden's an English name and he's got relations in Surrey. Donald Trump has a lot more Scotland in him than Joe Biden has Ireland in him.
Fact.
He clearly admired and loved his mother, Mary MacLeod, hugely. She was a West Coaster, of course, Western Isles. And that was why Turnberry was the most appropriate place, I thought, to meet him.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
He cares a lot about Scotland. This is the first American president, possibly in decades, that really cares about the relationship with the UK. And it's there within him at an emotional level. Make no mistake about any of that.
So that was a lie.
I thought what he said about Sturgeon was interesting. Basically, what he's saying is that her actions were against the interests of Scotland.
Okay.
That Scotland became a place that, rather than put money into, people took money out of. That was said with great passion. He was fairly neutral about the new First Minister, but then he doesn't really know him very well. I did remind him of one or two of the quotes. But no, I thought the stuff he said on Scotland was very powerful, very interesting. And let me tell you.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
This Turnberry Hotel, Golf and Spa Complex, in the height of season, employs 500 well-paid people. Without it, goodness knows where this coastline would be. So, this is really important stuff.
Okay.
And the idea that a First Minister wouldn't encourage someone like Donald Trump to invest, rather want to have a fight with him the whole time, I thought he highlighted that pretty well.
I know, it's a brilliant hotel, Turnberry. And Jason Miller.
So that was a lie.
You can see Trump's passion for the nation, but it is shocking when you think Sturgeon never made any attempt to build a relationship with him because of his politics, despite the huge investment he makes into Scotland.
Wait for it. Here it comes.
No, Dan, you're exactly right. And we have a phrase here in the U.S. that everything woke turns to, well, I'll say rubbish so Ofcom doesn't smack down our good friends at GB News. But what I was really struck by is not just the kinship between President Trump and Nigel, which was just a great thing to watch unfold on camera.
Okay.
But the affinity that President Trump has for not just Scotland and England, but the UK overall. And if you live in the UK and you're concerned about the relationship with the US, if you're concerned about the safety and the need to work together to deter those who are threatening both the UK and the US, then President Trump showed that the relationship between the two countries will get much better if he's back in the White House.
Well, indeed, because Trump also gave us a reminder of the special relationship that could have been as he directed very warm words towards the former Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Watch.
I liked him so much, I still like him, but he really went a little bit on the liberal side. I mean, he all of a sudden became an environmentalist, and I'm talking about probably in a negative way, too much.
I said, wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Look, we all want to protect the environment. Nobody does more than I do. I do a lot of jobs. Look at this. This was done environmentally so incredible. Turnberry, Aberdeen. But something happened. He changed.
What?
And a wonderful guy. He's a friend of mine.
So, Nigel, he didn't rule out a possibility of a Boris comeback later on in the interview, did he?
No, he didn't. But I mean, come on, let's be realistic, Dan. Whatever you and I may think of Rishi Sunak and his Blairite spin, the one thing he's brought to the Conservative Party is stability over the total and absolute chaos of Boris Johnson. And maybe you and I don't quite see eye to eye.
No, I don't agree with that. But yes, I understand where you're coming from.
But what I really got there was the sense of disappointment that Boris had become the inheritor of the Brexit legacy.
What?
And hey, I'd made his life pretty easy. You know, I'd helped him in many ways.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think Boris would even
Which Trump gave you credit for tonight.
Yeah, no. I mean, look, you know, if I hadn't got rid of Mrs. May with the Brexit Party, Boris would never have been PM.
What do you mean by that?
But I think what Trump feels is what I feel, that they had this 80-seat majority. The first time in almost 40 years, there was an opportunity to really be conservative, to really be radical, to really change things. And Boris blew it. And, you know, Trump said how disappointed he was in that sense with this move towards the green agenda. But the most telling part on the Conservatives was Trump said they'd move to the far left.
Yeah.
Now,
which on some things they have. Come on. Net zero or nut zero, maybe, as we should call it.
But my belief with these interviews is the public are bored with the one-on-one punch-ups. What is more interesting is to hear what people actually have to say, to let them speak. And whether that's Donald Trump or a bunch of lunatics that want to disrupt the Grand National, I try and let people have their own say. Now,
well, you did.
Maybe.
Because you weren't trying to trip him up all the time.
Okay.
No, I wanted to hear what he had to say about things. I disagree with him on the emphasis on the stolen election and other things like that. But maybe far left is a bit over the top.
So that was a lie.
But truth is, this is the least conservative government we've ever had in the history of our nation. And we're faced with a choice between two forms of social democracy. And I said to him, maybe 13 years in power is too long. He said, no.
Why? Why?
Not necessarily if they'd stayed true to being conservative.
Well, I actually thought that was a really good point.
It's just difficult for the royal family when they're unable to do that.
Do you think it is damaging to the royals here, though?
Look, it highlights the fact that they're unable to do these things right
I mean, what
now.
Diana did was damaging.
But all of
let's be
polling...
honest, what she did distracted all the attention away from Charles and the others here. I mean...
Stop it.
But then her work on landmines, for example, the Halo Trust is one of the charities that their Archwell is supporting.
It was great, but you can't deny...
say that that's wrong to be doing.
No, I'm not saying it's wrong. And the Invictus Games are a remarkably good thing, right? I've got lots of servicemen in my family, right? It's a great thing.
I think I have a headache.
No one disputes that. And from a pure optics point of view, this was a very successful trip, right? That's the problem, is if we're now going to have a rival royal family stealing attention, oxygen, media coverage and so on.
But wait for it.
Away from the royals here at a perilous time for the royal family, I don't like it.
But all the polling says that those members, you know, Kate, William, the King, are still far, far more popular.
They are, but if this...
Stop it.
It'd be interesting to take some polling from places like Africa after tours like this about what they think. given the problems the royals have had on their tours of the Caribbean.
We've done so much navel gazing in this country.
So that was a lie.
You're right, our king represents way more than just Little Britain. But we keep on saying, oh, he's copying or it's just like Diana. I was speaking to the most extraordinary woman today, Helen Lewis. Her son, Aaron Lewis, dies in Afghanistan. She helped set up the Aaron Lewis Foundation, doing all the kind of work that overlaps with Harry. She consistently was just chatting away. She had no idea I have an interest in royalty. We were talking about something separate. And she actually said at these commemorative events, you tend to go around on a bit of a circuit. And, you know, my grandson's called Harrison. And
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And we often see Prince Harry, he's ever since he was young, working alongside Prince Philip, he's had the most extraordinary ability to reach children. He then tapped up my grandson and, you know, made sure he
What
knew
does
the
that have to do with the debate?
Because the point is Harry has a gift. And it might make us all feel uncomfortable, but it was there before he left the royal family. We often talked about it, Harry's charisma. You can't implant it in someone, you can't force it on someone.
But that's
he has
not...
it, and what upsets you is you're seeing it used in a way that you feel undermines the royal family.
Once again,
Wait for it.
you weirdly, I think deliberately misconstrue what upsets me.
No.
It's got nothing to do with him being charismatic around children, right?
It does, because actually that's part of the brand and it's very powerful.
My anger towards the pair of them for the last few years has all been because of the damage they're doing the royal family and the monarchy.
But that was obvious that was going to happen, so why didn't the royal family try and work
like
towards
it.
a half-in, half-out?
Piers, when you talk about the damage they have done to the royal family, let me play devil's advocate. And
Wait for it.
if you're right that they have damaged the royal family, hasn't Sarah just explained to us that actually that isn't the case, and that they're riding high in the polls, and that
Well, they're not. Who are you talking about?
King Charles.
Oh, the other
Stop it.
royals,
Yes,
right?
yeah, the other royals. And so any damage that they're said to have caused,
support
actually, it hasn't impacted.
Let me respond.
It hasn't impacted in the
There
way
are
that
other
you
polls
think it has.
about the actual...
And so there is no rivalry
Fine,
here.
let me respond. You're missing the point. Support for the monarchy is falling.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
so actually, look at those polls.
That's a different
Sarah's
topic,
talking
isn't it?
about individual popularity of members of the royal
and that's
family.
what I'm talking
but if you
about.
look at overall support for the royals, particularly amongst young people, it is falling.
And
Gentlemen, we got him.
It's a generational issue.
Exactly? And is that Harry and Meghan's fault?
I think a lot of it,
I mean,
yeah.
that is...
A lot of it,
It's also partly
I
the
believe a lot
fault
of
of
it
people
is.
like you.
The point is...
It's also partly the fault of people like you, because you drive this great divide between the generations, between the two camps.
It's not me trashing his family.
No, but you are very
It's him trashing his
vocal
family.
on the right and centre media.
I didn't call the royal family a bunch of callous racists.
The issue that you
with
have
no
raised is
they
about the trouble
They
that
did.
the royal family have with coming to terms with the part they played in colonialism.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Harry and Meghan are a tiny part of that, and to suggest
they're
that
not, though.
somehow...
Paula, that is so disingenuous.
To suggest
The
that
idea that the
somehow
only
Harry and
the
Meghan have
idea that the only
swayed...
non-white
What are you talking about, man?
bride in royal history going to a country like Nigeria is not somehow going to be damaging, given how estranged she is from the family.
They were invited there from September.
They should have said no.
Why?
Because they shouldn't be doing what they're doing.
Because
these rival
it would suit
tours.
You,
no, they shouldn't be doing
and it would suit who? If
I thought they.
no.
Sorry, I thought they.
They
fled,
are doing a marvellous
I thought they didn't want to do a life of royal
Invictus.
duty.
Nice.
What I don't
That's not what they
understand
said.
is what
That's
are
not
they?
what they
What are they
said.
allowed to do? You don't want.
Turned out they do if they're making money.
I didn't
What do you
understand
want
They're
to
making
that that's
money.
what they
if
said.
it promotes their brand and they make money, we're in. Oh yeah.
It
What
was
are
a
they allowed to do,
charitable-
Piers? You
it was
don't
a
want them making
charitable
jam. You
visit.
don't want them going on tours. You don't want them trashing their family. What do you want them to do?
Actually, they
What
can
do you want
make
them to do?
jam. They can do podcasts. They can do TV. They can do speeches. They can do it all, just not as members of the royal family. No longer Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Stop it.
Charities.
them to get
It's
rid of
about
their
supporting their charities. They were there
How
to
can
support.
you trash an institution
they were
but
there
keep
to
the
support
titles and make money off
Invictus
them?
charity. That's
How
why
can
they
you
were
keep-
there.
How
They
can
were
you keep the
invited
titles
there-
and make money
they were
from an
invited
institution
there
that you
in
say you hate?
September.
You serious?
So long before anybody knew about...